Welcome back to our Merill Talks. Today we are on the Expert Talk. I'm your host, Marc, fund manager at Merill Funds. I've been managing money for over 2 decades. Today we are starting the recording here at a boutique hotel of home in the heart of St. Julian's. If you're looking for a fantastic spa experience, you are the right place. Before we start this presentation with our expert here, Damien, let me read to you the disclaimer. This content of this presentation has been prepared for general guidance and information purpose only. Any information provided through the presentation do not constitute financial, investment, professional advice, or recommendations. Thank you very much. So, Damien, welcome back to our channel and thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me back, Marc. Always a pleasure to speak to you.
It's a pleasure to have you, especially an expert like you. Just to remind the audience, Damien is a protocol specialist working with an infrastructure company based here in Malta, which is called simply Staking.
Yes.
Welcome back, Damien. I think you have been quite excited by a specific subject on the blockchain, and I think you are here to speak about this. But before that, maybe you can provide us a little bit about the context, because here we are traditional, I would say, financial firms. We are managing, as we know, bonds, stocks, and this kind of era. And now you're on the crypto side. When I say more on the blockchain side, so maybe we will start and give us a little bit more about the context about Cosmos and why you are so excited about it.
Right. So to give a sort of background on why I am so excited on this particular ecosystem is because the company I work for, Simply Staking, we're heavily involved within this ecosystem. It was one of the first sort of projects we sort of got into back in 2018, I believe.
Okay.
And moving on to present day, we're still there. We've expanded our operations within that ecosystem quite a bit. One of my roles within the company is to research all of these new protocols that enter Cosmos, to research Cosmos itself, to make it a sort of better place, so to speak, for everyone. And I also handle sort of something that we call governance on the blockchain, because with these types of blockchains, if you own the token, you have a say in the direction, sort of like a blockchain democracy.
Okay.
My role is to sort of ensure that nothing malicious is happening, and also to sort of shape the next direction that the sort of Cosmos ecosystem should be going in.
Just a question for our audience. You have been talking about Cosmos, so it means in your company you can do the stacking of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other crypto. So it's in the way you will speak today about something, try to connect all these blockchains who are not speaking to each other, correct?
In a sense, yes. At the moment, the focus of Cosmos is to sort of speak and connect with the assets that are within its ecosystem. There isn't the method as of yet to connect to assets such as Ethereum or Bitcoin. There is a way, people are working towards it, but at the moment, and for the scope of today, I would say is to talk more about the Cosmos ecosystem, also referred to as the interchain, which is just the assets that are built around the Cosmos tech stack.
Because I heard that the security, especially about the bridge between the chain, it's not like secure, and probably that's the reason Cosmos it's probably could be a dominant player here.
Yes. So when it comes to communicating, taking an example of Ethereum and the bridge between Ethereum and maybe one of its layer 2s, let's say Polygon or Arbitrum, something like that. They would often require like a bridge to communicate. And these bridges, like you said, they're not as secure. They're exposed to a lot of hacks, like billions of dollars in the past year. What Cosmos has as part of its core sort of offering is something called IBC, which is Blockchain Communication Protocol, which is this sort of secure, trustless messaging platform that enables a secure transfer of tokens, messages, data between all sort of Cosmos SDK enabled chains.
Which is interesting because I know at the moment there is like open source versus closed source. What I'm saying here, it's Cosmos versus Polkadot. Correct. And I think you are more in favor of an open source approach than a closed hand, I will say, approach.
I think that's the general ethos of all of blockchain. Everyone should favor open source over closed source. And what I forgot to mention is IBC is an open source protocol, so anyone can sort of work on it. There have been people that are working on different IBC to connect to. Recently there was a team that worked on an IBC out to Polkadot, so there's communication between Cosmos and Polkadot through like a use of light clients, but I won't get into that. It's a bit too technical for just a brief overview that we're going to discuss today.
Okay, so you see more futures and more philosophy. I mean, I will say I know your visions, your philosophy on the blockchain. So you think Cosmos is the best tool because it's more like you say a tool to interconnect the things. And what's so exciting at the moment, and why it could be the right moment to think about this Cosmos SDK?
Right. So at the moment, to answer the first question, why there might be a lot of hype, I believe, is what the general gist is that the Cosmos stack, as we mentioned, it enables you to sort of enter this ecosystem. Developers through the Cosmos SDK would have full customizability of their own sort of app. They would have they're in charge of their own token economics, their own governance structures, and they can also include a bunch of different modules on top of the standard Cosmos SDK modules. So the Cosmos SDK, if you use it, is a sort of plug and play for developers to sort of enter within this interchain. And once you enter, you have stuff like IBC automatically sort of enabled, which means you can talk to every single other network in the chain. For example, let's say I am Osmosis. I can easily connect with Cosmos Hub, Akash, Axelar, just a bunch of like different networks within the ecosystem. And you're also sort of inheriting like a community, right? Because people often refer to it as like the Cosmos ecosystem. They stay within, it's very easy to use, as opposed to like having to use a bridge it's harder to bridge your assets from Ethereum to another L2, even though they're all within the Ethereum ecosystem. Cosmos sort of makes it a bit easier for you to sort of move around your funds and play around with different products.
Let's do a step back, Damien, and come back on the Cosmos ecosystem and maybe define a little bit for the audience. Like I say, normally we are more like with a traditional finance audience. So maybe give us a little bit of an overview here of Cosmos Hub.
Right. So the Cosmos network is defined or is often referred to as something called like an Internet of Blockchains.
Okay.
Because it enables like easy transfer of data between apps, services, and users.
Okay.
Sort of like the internet. You have your computer, which is connected to the internet, goes through, a bunch of centralized servers and reaches wherever it has to reach. The difference between the Cosmos is, instead of going to like a centralized server owned by, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, it goes through all of these like decentralized chains within the network. So that's why it could oftentimes be referred to as the Internet of Blockchains. Through the use of the IBC that we mentioned before, that is the sort of pipeline of sending the information. It would be easier to explain if there was like a diagram, but hopefully there's a sort of flow here that you could understand.
It's linked to the Web 3.0.
Yes. So the Cosmos Hub is the sort of central, or it used to be the central sort of network. It was the first network that launched within the Cosmos ecosystem, and all of the chains that are currently within the Cosmos network, the ecosystem, are all somewhat connected through IBC to the Cosmos Hub.
And how you see now, you define a little bit more the Cosmos ecosystem. How you see that, why in the coming months it will be like so exciting? What happened in the recent past that's creating like this hype?
Okay, so to answer your question about hype and why it's been gaining a lot of traction recently, is a lot of chains have been seeing that the Cosmos SDK allows them to sort of use the SDK for its fast transactions, its cheap fees, and its sort of ability to allow a project to scale and still remain sovereign. This all ties into the sort of app chain thesis that the Cosmos network sort of has behind it, which means instead of building on like a monolithic structure, for example, Ethereum, the app chain thesis allows for a bunch of different blockchains to sort of communicate with one another, be part of an ecosystem while still maintaining full sovereignty, which means each chain is its own chain, but it's still part of like an underlying network as a whole, as opposed to like Ethereum. So projects within Cosmos would sort of focus on a specific issue to address.
So if I understand, you prefer to have a technology on layer 1 than on layer 2, correct?
There needs to be a bit of a distinction here. All of the chains on the Cosmos ecosystem are technically layer 1s because they are their own chain. Cosmos ecosystem is just a bunch of layer 1s communicating with each other. Whereas Ethereum has different layers just because of the issue that I mentioned before, for example, scalability and customizability. Layer 2s would sort of detach themselves from Ethereum in order for them to sort of try and break out of the customizability problem, scalability problem.
Okay.
But again, Cosmos SDK sort of has that already built into it.
I hope you like this episode, and you can join us on our website, which is merillfunds.com. And of course, you can also find Damien in his company, Simply Staking. So we hope to see you soon and to welcome you back, Damien, on this expert talk, because I think it's a fantastic subject, even if we are on the traditional finance, because I think there is a lot of things to explore. And again, thanks to the audience, but thanks also to Damien. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marc.